Ladies and gentlemen, what if I told you the most powerful thing a man notices about you is something he'll never say out loud? It's not your looks, it's not your style, it's the invisible standard you carry, the one that tells him exactly how to treat you before you ever say a word. The question is, are you teaching him to rise to meet you or letting him believe he doesn't have to? Stay with me, because by the end of this, you won't just understand what men notice, you'll learn how to own it. When someone walks into a room, people rarely remember the clothes they wore or the exact details of their features. What lingers is the feeling they left behind. That feeling of warmth, of charisma, of calm or playfulness is the true essence that shapes how we're perceived. Men in particular may not always articulate it, but they are attuned to this invisible force. It's not about being the loudest or most glamorous person in the room. It's about the energy you carry. Do you make people feel seen? Do you feel at home in your own presence? That emotional resonance is what captivates, what intrigues, and what ultimately makes someone memorable. Physical beauty may turn heads, but energy keeps their attention. It's the silent language that speaks when no words are exchanged. This is what men notice, even if they never say it out loud. A woman who radiates self-trust and composure doesn't need to announce it. Her presence communicates everything. There's an ease in the way she carries herself, a lightness that makes people want to lean in, not out. She may not fit into everyone's idea of perfection, but her comfort with herself becomes a beacon. This kind of energy is calming. It draws others in, not by demanding space, but by being grounded in it. You don't have to be the life of the party to be magnetic. You just have to own your space, your story, your energy. Men often find this quality inexplicably attractive. They notice the way you engage, not from a place of needing attention, but from already being full within yourself. That's the kind of energy that can't be faked. It's what leaves an imprint long after you've left the room. We often focus so much on our appearance, thinking that's the main thing people see. And yes, appearance plays a role. It's part of the first impression. But that's not where the story ends. What someone remembers after an interaction isn't your makeup or your shoes. It's how you made them feel. Did they feel more alive, more relaxed, more curious? Your energy shapes that experience, and men are far more sensitive to this than they let on. They may not comment on it directly, but they feel drawn toward it. That emotional response, the sense of connection, warmth, or excitement, is what builds attraction. It's what makes someone want to come closer, to know more. That response doesn't come from a flawless exterior. It comes from the vibe you're sending out through every expression, every glance, every word. You might notice this yourself when you think of someone who isn't traditionally attractive but has a magnetic pull. That pull is energy. You can feel it when someone walks into a room and instantly changes the temperature of the space. It's not loud or flashy, it's something deeper, an internal harmony that speaks louder than volume. They don't need to compete or prove anything, they just are. That's the kind of presence that captivates people on a subconscious level. When you're centered and aligned with yourself, that clarity creates space for connection. People feel safe, seen, and intrigued around you. Men are especially tuned into this when forming emotional bonds. They may not express it in words, but it influences everything about how they respond to you. This silent influence is often the most powerful. The challenge is that most of us are taught to chase validation externally. We're told to dress a certain way, behave a certain way, be agreeable, be perfect. But energy doesn't lie. You can wear all the right things and still repel people if your energy feels anxious, desperate, or insincere. Conversely, you can be in sweatpants and have every eye on you if you're exuding self-possession and inner peace. Men notice the difference. They may not compliment you on your energy, but they'll remember how easy it felt to be around you, or how they couldn't stop thinking about you, even when the conversation was short. That's not chemistry, it's emotional impact. It's the echo your presence leaves behind. And that echo is created by your energy, not your efforts. This is why chasing someone's attention never works long term, because when you chase, you give away your power. Your energy shifts from abundant to needy, from grounded to scattered. And people, especially men, pick up on that contrast quickly. They may not say she's in her power or she feels off, but they will react to the difference. Authentic energy can't be manufactured, and that's what makes it so compelling. It's born from doing the inner work of understanding who you are, what you value, and letting go of the need to perform. You attract what you embody. And when you embody alignment, others feel it. They don't need to analyze it, they just want more of it. That kind of attraction is sustainable, because it's rooted in truth, not tactics. It's also worth noting that energy is dynamic. It shifts with your mindset, your environment, your habits. If you're constantly pouring from an empty cup, your energy will reflect that depletion. If you're surrounded by toxic influences or suppressing your emotions, it will create friction in your presence. On the flip side, when you prioritize peace, protect your joy, and stay connected to what lights you up, your energy becomes magnetic without trying. People, including men, feel that glow. It's not always dramatic. It can be subtle, quiet, steady, but it's powerful. And the most attractive thing you can do is protect that energy. Invest in it. Let it guide how you show up. That choice becomes a message you send to the world without ever saying a word. Men might not tell you this directly because they don't always know how to describe it. They may say, there's just something about her, or she's different. That something is your energy. It's the way you carry yourself, the way your presence feels. It's not about being happy all the time or always positive. It's about being real, emotionally available, and unapologetically yourself. When a man senses that you don't need him to complete you, but you welcome connection from a place of abundance, it shifts the dynamic completely. You're not seeking approval, you're sharing space. And that kind of space creates intimacy, not just attraction. That's what gets remembered, even if it never gets voiced. Think of energy as your emotional signature. You leave it behind in every interaction, every encounter. And just like a fragrance, it can either attract or repel. The more aware you become of your own energy, the more intentional you can be with how you show up. It doesn't mean becoming someone you're not. It means aligning who you are on the inside with how you move through the world. That congruence is what builds trust and connection. People feel when you're in harmony with yourself. They may not know why they trust you or why they're drawn to you, but they will be. And men, especially those seeking more than surface-level connection, are highly tuned into that harmony, even if they don't articulate it. Attraction is more emotional than logical. You don't fall for someone because they check all the boxes. You fall for how they make you feel. And that feeling is shaped by energy. When you prioritize your own inner world, your peace, your passion, your emotional clarity, you naturally become a source of positive energy for others. That's what gets noticed. That's what gets remembered. The irony is that the more you focus on being rather than performing, the more magnetic you become. And even though men might never tell you what exactly they noticed, they'll keep coming back to that feeling you gave them. That's the secret. They don't fall for your looks, your lines, or your lifestyle. They fall for the energy they can't explain. And you don't have to say a word for them to feel it. Confidence is one of the most attractive qualities a person can have, and yet it's so often misunderstood. True confidence isn't about being the loudest in the room, dominating conversations, or being perfect in every way. It's a quiet knowing, a deep sense of self-worth that isn't shaken by outside opinions. When someone walks with confidence, they don't need validation to feel seen. They're already secure in who they are. That kind of energy creates gravity. People are naturally drawn to someone who is comfortable in their own skin. It's not arrogance, it's presence. And it's presence that lingers in people's minds long after the interaction ends. Men notice when a woman carries herself like she belongs without having to demand attention. It's not in what she says, but in how she moves, how she listens, how she holds herself in moments of silence. She doesn't need constant reassurance or external approval. She knows her value, and that inner certainty speaks louder than anything she could say. This doesn't mean she's immune to insecurity. It means she doesn't let insecurity run the show. There's a difference between confidence and performance. One is grounded, the other is fragile. Men are far more perceptive than we give them credit for. They may not say it, but they recognize when someone's confidence is real. When someone is confident, they don't chase, they attract. They don't have to prove they're worthy because they already know they are. That self-assurance allows space for deeper connection because the energy isn't wrapped up in trying to impress. In romantic dynamics, this changes everything. Instead of trying to fit into someone else's expectations, the confident person invites others into their world. That shift creates curiosity, mystery, and a sense of authenticity that's rare. Men are drawn to women who don't need them to feel complete, but who choose to share themselves openly. That sense of autonomy is powerful. It allows attraction to grow without pressure, without games. It becomes natural. Arrogance, on the other hand, is not the same as confidence. It's insecurity in disguise. It's loud, performative, and often rooted in the fear of not being enough. Arrogance pushes people away because it's more about controlling perception than connecting. Confidence, by contrast, is open-hearted. It doesn't need to dominate or diminish others to feel strong. That distinction is subtle but powerful. Men notice it, even if they can't always name it. The woman who owns her space without overpowering others is rare and refreshing. She doesn't compete. She simply shows up as herself, and that is more than enough. That kind of woman isn't just attractive, she's unforgettable. Confidence also shows up in how someone handles rejection or discomfort. When a woman can hear no and not internalize it as a personal failure, that resilience is magnetic. It shows emotional maturity and a strong foundation of self-respect. Rather than trying to please everyone or avoid conflict, she speaks her truth with grace. She doesn't need to be right all the time, she just needs to be real. And being real is far more powerful than being impressive. When a man sees that you can hold your own, even when things don't go your way, it builds trust. It shows him that you're not fragile and that your confidence isn't conditional. That kind of strength is rare and deeply appealing. It's also important to understand that confidence isn't about being perfect. In fact, trying to be perfect often creates a wall between you and others. Real confidence is allowing your imperfections to be seen without shame. It's being able to say, "This is who I am," without fear of being judged. That openness is what creates connection. Men don't fall for the polished version of you. They fall for the parts you reveal when you're being truly yourself. Confidence makes space for vulnerability, not because you're trying to impress, but because you're comfortable enough to be honest. That comfort signals emotional intelligence, and emotional intelligence is sexy. The beauty of confidence is that it's quiet. It doesn't scream for attention. It doesn't need to constantly announce its presence. It's the steady calm in the storm. It's the way someone stays grounded in chaotic moments. That reliability, emotional and otherwise, is what people remember. Men, especially those looking for depth, are drawn to women who are rooted. It makes them feel safe, it makes them feel seen, and it makes them want to stay. The irony is that when you stop trying to impress people, you often become more impressive, because there's nothing more attractive than someone who trusts themselves. Another key element of confidence is boundaries. A confident woman sets limits, not out of fear, but out of self-respect. She knows what she will and will not tolerate, and she communicates that with clarity. This creates a framework for healthy relationships because it teaches others how to treat her. Men notice when you stand firm in your values, and even if they don't say it, they respect it. Boundaries are not walls. They are doors with locks. You choose who gets access, and that choice is powerful. When you operate from a place of self-worth, your boundaries reflect that. And people are either drawn in by your strength or removed by their own weakness. Confidence also transforms communication. It allows you to express your needs without apology and to listen without defensiveness. When you're not trying to prove anything, you can be fully present. You can give without overextending and receive without guilt. This balance makes interactions richer and more fulfilling. Men are drawn to this ease. They don't want to feel like they're walking on eggshells or being tested. They want to be around someone who knows who she is and communicates from that place. It's refreshing. It's empowering. It's the kind of presence that elevates both people in the connection. That's what confidence does. It uplifts rather than competes. Lastly, confidence grows from within, not from external validation. It's built by keeping promises to yourself, by honoring your voice, by doing the inner work. The more you know yourself, the less you need others to define you, and the less you chase approval, the more you command respect. That shift is subtle but life-changing. Men are deeply affected by women who embody this type of strength. They may not articulate it, but they feel it. They feel more drawn to you, more curious, more inspired. You become someone who doesn't just attract attention, but holds it with ease. That kind of presence is timeless. It's not about appearance or performance. It's about substance. And that's what leaves a lasting impression. There's something profoundly compelling about authenticity. It's not about being loud, flashy, or even perfectly polished. It's about being real. In a world full of filters and facades, what stands out most is someone who isn't trying to be anything other than themselves. That kind of subtle honesty isn't always easy to define, but people feel it immediately. It's in the way you laugh without trying to be cute, the way you express excitement without censoring yourself, the way you respond to situations without rehearsed lines. That naturalness speaks volumes. Men are incredibly tuned into this. Even if they don't say so, they may not analyze your every move, but they feel the difference between someone who's performing and someone who's present. That difference is the gateway to real connection. When you're being yourself, there's a freedom in the interaction that can't be faked. You're not calculating your words or body language. You're simply engaging from a genuine place. This openness allows others to relax, to mirror your honesty without fear of being judged. That's how emotional safety begins to form, even in the smallest of conversations. And emotional safety is a foundation of true attraction. When a man senses that you're not trying to impress him or make him like you, it catches his attention. It creates a subtle intrigue. He sees someone who isn't reliant on approval, and that's refreshing. There's no pretense, no manipulation, just raw presence. And presence is magnetic in a way that perfection never could be. So many people think they need to be more charming, more clever, more likable in order to be noticed. But ironically, it's often the opposite. The moment you stop performing, your essence shines through. That's what people actually want to connect with. Realness is disarming. It lowers defenses and creates a space where something meaningful can happen. Think of the times you felt most drawn to someone. It probably wasn't because they impressed you, but because they made you feel seen or made you feel like you could be yourself. That's the kind of impact authenticity has. And when a man encounters that, he feels something different. He may not say it out loud, but he knows it. He remembers how you made him feel, not just what you said. Performance creates pressure, not just for you, but for the person on the other side. When you're putting on a show, people can sense it. It's subtle, but it creates a disconnect. You might look the part, say all the right things, and still leave someone feeling like something was missing. That missing piece is often truth. When you're authentic, even if you're awkward, uncertain, or emotional, it resonates more deeply than any polished version of yourself ever could. Because people don't fall for your perfection, they fall for your realness. Men in particular, when looking for connection beyond the surface, are drawn to the energy of someone who is just being rather than trying to be. That natural effortlessness can't be manufactured. There's a quiet power in not needing to over-explain yourself or defend your choices. When you're rooted in your truth, you don't have to justify who you are. That certainty, even if it's soft-spoken, is deeply attractive. It tells people without words that you value yourself enough to show up honestly. And that kind of self-respect invites others to respect you too. It sets the tone for how people treat you. A man notices when you're not constantly seeking his approval, but instead holding your own with calm presence. He may not say, wow, she's so authentic, but he'll feel more drawn to you, more curious. That curiosity isn't based on mystery. It's based on connection, and connection is what keeps people around. Being authentic also means being vulnerable in small ways. It's not about revealing your entire past or opening up too quickly. It's about being emotionally available. When you're not pretending, people can actually reach you. They can see who you are underneath the surface, and that's what builds trust. Men notice when you're not afraid to be honest, even if that honesty is quiet or understated. Whether it's admitting you're nervous or laughing at your own mistakes, those moments of humanity are deeply relatable. You stop being a concept and become a person. That shift makes you not just attractive, but approachable. It makes people want to know more, to invest more, because they sense there's something real there. It's also important to understand that authenticity isn't about always being calm or collected. It's about being consistent with what you feel and what you express. If something excites you, show it. If something bothers you, speak up. When you live in alignment with your emotions, your communication becomes more honest. That honesty may not always be smooth, but it's true. And truth is what people connect with most. You don't have to have all the answers or handle every moment perfectly. In fact, it's in your imperfections that people often feel closest to you. A man doesn't need you to impress him. He needs to feel you, not your performance, not your script. You. Trying to be liked by everyone often leaves you disconnected from yourself. The more energy you spend editing your personality, the less you give others the chance to see the real version of you. And that real version is the one worth loving. When you stop worrying about being likable, you become lovable. Men notice when they're with someone who's not trying to fit a mold. It gives them permission to do the same. That creates chemistry that's built on truth, not fantasy. You're not trying to convince someone to like you. You're simply being and allowing the right people to respond naturally. That approach creates space for relationships rooted in acceptance rather than performance. Your authenticity becomes your filter. It repels those who aren't aligned with you and attracts those who are. And that's a good thing. When you're trying to please everyone, you end up forming shallow connections. But when you're real, the right people find you and the wrong ones fade away. A man might not say, I love how honest she is with herself, but he will feel safer, more relaxed, and more emotionally invested in your presence. Because nothing feels better than being around someone who is fully themselves. That energy is grounding, inspiring, and unforgettable. It's not the loudest thing in the room, but it's the thing that stays with you long after the moment ends. So the next time you feel the urge to impress, pause and ask yourself, what am I trying to prove and why? The truth is you don't need to perform to be worthy of love, attention or admiration. Your presence as it is more than enough. And when you let go of the need to perfect everything, something beautiful happens. People start seeing you, not the version of you you think they want. That shift, subtle, honest, and profound, is what draws people in and keeps them there. Men may never say, I'm falling for your authenticity, but that's exactly what happens. Not because you did something extraordinary, but because you allowed them to see the extraordinary in the ordinary. That's the power of being real. There's a silent message you send every time you interact with someone, one that isn't spoken, but always received. It's the message of what you're willing to accept and what you're not. Without ever having to explain it, your standards reveal themselves through your behavior, your boundaries, and your choices. People don't learn how to treat you because you told them what to do. They learn by observing what you tolerate. A man especially picks up on these signals even if he doesn't mention them out loud. He notices how you handle disrespect, how you respond when your time is taken for granted, and how you react when someone crosses a line. These moments form an invisible framework around you, and that framework tells him more about your worth than your words ever could. That's the power of your standards. When someone respects themselves, it shows in their ability to walk away from situations that don't align with their values. There's no drama, no emotional performance. It's just a quiet refusal to settle for less than what feels right. This calm strength is something men notice immediately. They may not always understand it fully, but they feel it. A woman who honors herself sends a message: I value myself enough not to compromise what matters to me. That self-respect draws a certain kind of man in and pushes another kind out, and that's exactly what it's supposed to do. Your standards don't repel the right person. They challenge him to rise to meet you, not because you demanded it, but because you inspired it, and that inspiration is what often sparks deeper attraction. Sometimes people confuse high standards with being difficult or demanding, but they're not the same. High standards are not about expecting perfection, they're about clarity. Clarity in what you want, clarity in how you wish to be treated, and clarity in how you show up. When a man sees that you know your worth and aren't willing to bend just to be chosen, it changes how he sees you. You become someone he can't put in a box, someone whose presence commands attention without ever needing to chase it. It's not about playing hard to get, it's about being hard to forget, because you carry yourself with integrity. And integrity is rare. That rarity makes you stand out without trying. Your standards are also revealed in the little moments when someone shows up late and you don't excuse it, when someone makes a comment that crosses a boundary and you calmly address it, when someone gives you breadcrumbs of attention and you choose not to entertain it. These responses might seem small, but they are defining. They show that you're not afraid of being alone, that you'd rather wait for something meaningful than entertain something half-hearted. Men notice these choices. They may not compliment you on them, but they register it. They begin to realize that your time, energy, and presence are not given lightly, and that makes them more intentional in how they approach you. The people who are used to getting away with low-effort behavior might try to test your limits, but your standards are not meant to change to accommodate someone's comfort. They're meant to filter out what doesn't serve you. And when you hold those boundaries with grace and consistency, it sets the tone for the entire relationship. It creates mutual respect. ECT, it builds trust. It shows that you have a foundation that isn't easily shaken. Men may not always express it directly, but they're drawn to women who hold their ground, not with arrogance, but with quiet certainty. It's that certainty that sets you apart, that lets someone know you're not available to everyone, and that if they want to be in your life, they need to show up with more than just charm. Having standards doesn't mean you're closed off. It means you're selective. It means you know the difference between attention and intention, between effort and empty words, between chemistry and consistency. When you have standards, you move differently. You don't chase, you attract. You don't settle, you choose. You don't beg for love, you embody it. And that energy shifts the dynamic of every interaction. Men sense when you're coming from a place of fullness instead of lack. They may not know what to call it, but it challenges them. It invites them to bring more of themselves to the table, not to impress you, but to match you. A woman who knows her worth teaches others how to value her, not through her words, but through her actions. She doesn't need to explain why she's not okay with being someone's backup plan, weekend option, or emotional crutch. She simply removes herself from situations that don't reflect mutual respect. That quiet exit speaks volumes. It's not reactive, it's intentional, and it leaves an impression. Men may not always admit it, but they admire that strength. It stays with them. It causes them to reflect on how they show up. Because deep down, they know that a woman who respects herself can't be bought with bare minimums. And that realization often sparks a shift, either in how they engage or whether they engage at all. Standards also influence how you handle your own behavior. It's not just about what you expect from others, it's about what you expect from yourself, how you manage your emotions, how you communicate when something feels off, how you hold yourself accountable. A man notices when you hold yourself to the same standard you hold him. That consistency builds respect. It creates a balanced dynamic where no one is on a pedestal, but both people are equally valued. And when mutual respect exists, attraction deepens. Because it's no longer about proving anything, it's about meeting each other where you both stand without compromise of character. What you tolerate becomes your baseline. So every time you allow someone to treat you in a way that doesn't align with your values, you're silently resetting that baseline. And men notice that too. They see what you let slide, and that tells them how seriously to take you. But when you show that your presence is a privilege, not a default, they step differently. The right one steps up, not because he has to, but because he wants to. He recognizes the rarity in someone who honors herself fully. And that recognition is what separates fleeting interest from lasting connection. Your standards aren't walls to keep people out. They're invitations for the right ones to step in. They're not about control, ego, or fear. They're about love. Self-love. And when that love is strong, it becomes the foundation for every relationship you allow into your life. Men may never put it into words, but they're deeply impacted by the energy of a woman who knows who she is, what she deserves, and isn't afraid to wait for it. That kind of woman doesn't need to chase anything. She attracts everything meant for her because her standards don't just protect her, they define her. And in doing so, they leave a lasting impression on anyone lucky enough to experience her presence.